The Puppington family was sitting at the dinner table. Little Timmy Puppington had brought home an A today in math. And Earl Puppington, the boy's father, had been so proud of him that he hung up the test on the fridge with a magnet. Lisa Puppington, the proud homemaking mother of the family, had created the most wonderful meal in celebration. It wasn't often that little Timmy brought home such good grades, as he was usually stuck on C's and D pluses. Their dog, Bobby Puppington, was currently chained outside, as he had been a bad dog last night. The old mutt had been barking the entire evening, and now that the sun was setting, Earl was getting sick of the dog's barking. And yet, he didn't get up to scold the mutt. His boy was simply too important. Gently, the father patted his son's head. "You did great, my boy. I think it's time for your first drink," he said proudly, as he pushed a small shot glass filled with his father's old and very sugary caramel syrup to the boy. Lisa clapped her hands excitedly. "Oh, such a grown-up little man we have here." Smiling and blushing, little Timmy took the shot glass and downed it. He coughed, face turning red almost immediately. His parents laughed wholeheartedly with the boy. The old-timey family peace, however, was suddenly interrupted, as the loud barking of the dog turned to a pained whine. Earl looked up at the strange noise, and the mother too looked concerned, but at least little Timmy didn't notice. "I think I'll go check on the dog," said the mother as she left the table. Slowly she approached the back door leading to the backyard. Still, she was feeling happy for little Timmy. And as she descended the small porch, her eyes turned to the chained white dog. Her eyes widened, horrified. The mutt had been eviscerated. Immediately she lost all color in her face, her mouth wide open, and yet no scream could leave her lips. Something gray and metallic, covered in fresh, wet blood, was poking out of her throat. The knife had been plunged into her windpipe so quickly, she didn't even feel pain. As her eyes rolled up, the last thing the woman saw was the deathly glare of a hockey mask-wearing giant, huffing rotten air into her face as she... He could not call for help anymore. The giant raised his knife, pressing against the father's chest, and light suddenly flooded into the basement. "Jenny!" shouted a shrill voice. Quickly you jumped up on your feet, face flushed. I'm down here." Down the steps to your basement descended none other than Julie Joyful. "I was looking for... What are you doing?" You blinked, hiding the small puppets behind your back. "No, nothing, just playing house." Julie tilted her head questioningly. "Right, playing house." She leaned a bit to her right to get a better look at what you were hiding from her. Quickly you tried to hide the hockey puppet. "Then, who are you holding?" "The father?" Julie blinked. "The father. Yeah, he is a hockey enthusiast." "And the knife?" "He likes cooking." Julie blinked. Right, you answered. "You were looking for me? What's up?" "Oh, yes, I
I was talking with the others and we had a great idea.
Her facial expression changed to a smile. Good, that's what you were more used to.
We're going to have a slumber party. Big city style.
You blushed hard. You knew what big city style entailed. Not that you ever attended one of these parties.
Are you sure you know what that means? It means we are all sleeping in the living room together and play kissing games.
She said that with so much conviction and fervor that you felt almost inclined to tell her that kissing was the least thing that happened on a big city party. But how did you know? Well, obviously, you were a big city puppet yourself. Genie Gloom was your name. You were a beautiful white cotton puppet with scarlet red hair, a beautiful black mouth, and a pretty blue tongue. Your nose was a slightly darker white color too, and beautiful intricate black symbols covered the pelt around your eyes. Not only were you made out of these rare colors, but you're also made of cotton. That was just as important. In the puppet world, that made you one of the... In the puppet world, in the puppet world, made you the same level as a top model when it came to looks. In fact, the entire Gloom family was known for its wonderful appearance. Most of your family, starting with your great-great-great-grandpa, had their cotton fingers in the entertainment industry. Going from radio host to news anchor for BBC NNN, the big city news network now, and your sister Gretchen Gloom even had a role on a TV show as the main character. This, however, made you the odd one out. You weren't sociable. You liked dark things. And the most you ever managed was getting an advertising photo shoot gig. And to this day, that had been your only role in the business. In fact, your parents were so ashamed of you, they arranged for you to live here, in the small neighborhood of home, so that you wouldn't tarnish the family name by talking about your weird fixation on making little, gory, horrifying stop-motion clay puppet animations with your camera, or your loneliness and boredom to the press. In fact, the only reason you had a lot of funds was so you wouldn't go to the press in the first place and openly admit to this pushing aside of theirs. But that was okay. It allowed you to live a lazy life. Yes, you really lived the Gloom part of your name. In the new neighborhood, Julie had been the only one to ever really bother with you, interact with you. You did have a sort of nice relationship with that handsome little painter puppet, of course. Julie was very sociable, active in the community, and very overbearing. Honestly, sometimes you felt as if she wanted you as more than just a friend, but that was simply ridiculous. Not in a small town like this. Actually, she had been so overbearing that she had a spare key to your house. She talked you into that. And that's how she was able to be in your basement right now. You blinked and inhaled sharply. No, you would not shatter her innocence by telling her the stories her sister told you of her big city parties. It was disgusting. And a great explanation as to why and how she got the role as main character for her stupid show. And who else will be there? You asked curiously.
Everyone. Well, I invited everyone in town. Now we see who actually comes.
You blinked and forced a smile. Technically, you didn't say yes yet, but your thoughts instantly wandered to the thought of, what if no one shows up? And so, reluctantly, you said, well, let's get going then. Julie helped you gather your things. Slumber party meant that you'd be needing PJs and spare clothes. Knowing Julie, she already had plenty snacks and food prepared, and so you made your way to her house immediately. But as you sat down in her living room, you realized something. Maybe you should tell her after all. Isn't it a little short notice? I mean, a slumber party? Puppet's gotta make time for that. From the kitchen, Julie peeked her head in.
Oh, you think so? I didn't realize.
You shrugged in response. Maybe puppets would show up after all. This was a small community. Not like anyone really did anything productive here. And as time passed, you watched Julie. No one was showing up. Despite that, she just kept sitting there on the dinner table next to you, as the two of you just stared at the front door. She was smiling from ear to ear. Honestly, you were getting a little worried. If you had invited an entire neighborhood block and not even your friends had time to come, you'd be devastated. Though, then again, you were here. Suddenly, the tips of her fingers touched yours, and as you looked, she shuddered and waddled away a little.
Sorry.
Looking back at the door, you finally said, I think this was a little short notice after all. God, you were so bored. And also you were getting quite hungry too. Julie had prepared a huge cake with a lot of cream and frosting, just how you liked it. And you could see it just in your peripheral vision. The thing had been frozen by her, so it was okay if it stood outside for a while. God, you wanted to shove your entire face into that thing. Though before you'd need to drink a lot of syrup. Though before you would do that, you'd need to drink a lot of syrup just to push the excuse to the sugar rush, and not your own low self-control. You were such a pig.
I'm getting nervous,
said Julie, blushing hard. I'd be nervous too, having no one show up at my party. You didn't see it, but Julie bit her lower lip.
I was hoping we could play some games,
she said quietly.
Just imagining it. We could right now all be in a circle and spin the bottle and kiss each other.
It's surprised you she even knew that game. Of course, a big city party wasn't like that. It had a lot of glitter and unwanted touching and makeouts and sometimes doing favors for rich puppets to try and make it big. If it wasn't for Julie's ever-present smile and humming of happy tunes while the two of you just sat there, you'd honestly feel a foreboding sense of dread. Finally, you could no longer take it.
Julie, I have a question. How can you be this happy? Huh?
She looked at you a little confused.
Never mind.
Julie sighed.
I think you're right. No one else is coming.
You nodded.
Yeah.
And then, Julie took your hand.
I want you to know that this means a lot to me.
You exhaled You exhaled slowly through your mouth. Despite being a synthetic puppet like everyone else in home, she felt soft and warm Couldn't stop yourself from blushing and looking away. And as the following silence became awkward, you slowly let go of her hand. How about we eat that cake now, huh? Julie gave you an almost smug smile.
Okay then, don't move.
Skeptically, you raised a brow, only for her to wrap a blindfold around your eyes? Wait, where did she get that? Hey, what are you doing?
I said don't move.
Why? She giggled.
I want you to guess the taste.
It's red and white, so it's like strawberry or cherry or something. Just take that off. Julie sighed.
I'm not going to hurt you. You know you can stop shouting, right?
You crossed your arms and pouted. Fine. And now you sat there. Stupid blindfold on your face. From the darkness you heard Julie shifting, clinking and clanking before the unmistakable noise of a glass dome being removed from a tray and placed somewhere on the ground. Your mouth filled with salvia smelled so sweet. The smell of vanilla cream was overpowering your nostrils. You heard a knife slice into something soft. And then again. As Julie placed the cake slice on a platter, a bead of sweat ran down her forehead. She put some of the cake on a spoon.
Open your mouth,
she stuttered. Her heart fluttered. Leaned your head a little backwards, opening your mouth and sticking your tongue out. It was dripping with salvia. Julie's red eye twitched with suppressed excitement as she placed a piece of cake on your mouth. You could feel the cold, sleek underside of the spoon slide across your tongue before it released the delicious cake. The piece in your mouth was over 90% frosting and cream. Squeezing the liquid against the roof of your mouth, you allowed the sweet treat to embrace the entire inside of it. Your muscles tensed with excitement.
And do you like it?
You opened your mouth. It's delicious. What's wrong?
I just, I had a very silly idea.
Okay. You not flat out dismissing her. Julie couldn't help but see it as a sort of consent. Well, maybe she was just getting really flustered. Without hesitation, she put a spoonful of cake into her own mouth before taking hold of your shoulders. Confused, you furrowed your brows. What are you? And soft lips pressed onto yours without warning. You inhaled sharply in surprise. And then you felt it, parting your lips. Her tongue. The cake. Greedily you accepted. Your tongues touching. Liquids mixing. The sweet taste was overwhelming. Her smell, she was so close. It felt really good being held by her. Your mind barely able to comprehend it. It almost felt like your brain was going to short circuit. Eventually, Julie let go, pulling away. Shocked, you unwrapped the blindfold. Julie was a blushing mess as she stared at the ground. She herself couldn't believe what she just did, just as much as you. She was worried. Did you hate her now? Your eyes wandered from her cake. Your eyes wandered from her to the cake. Its inside was yellow and white, with just a thin layer of actual dough at the bottom and a thin cookie crumble layer in the middle. The rest was vanilla cream with cherry frosting. Well, that certainly fulfilled the kissing game part of a slumber party. You, however, quickly realized you needed to be the one to break the silence. She was a mess. Her eyes a little teary too. She thought she just lost a friend. She must have fully acted on instinct alone, you thought, unable to resist. And that really was a turn on for you. You nodded towards the candle, your brain coming up with the corniest, worst line possible right now. Make a wish. She followed your eyes to the candle, your lips twitching in amusement.
It's already come true,
she stuttered. You pushed air off your nose before quickly whiffing the candle off. And Julie gulped.
And? Oh, what did you wish for?
Your eyes met. For you to kiss me again. Thank you to the people who are supporting me on Ko-fi. You guys are keeping me alive.